the only access to London and the markets was by notoriously unreliable country lanes. So in 1900, the Rother Valley Railway was built from Robertsbridge on the main Hastings to London line to Tenterden. It was later extended up to Headcorn when it became the Kent and East Sussex Railway, having left the River Rother some way behind. However, in the late 50s, British Railways reorganised itself. The motorway was the thing. Railways were old-fashioned, smelly, expensive, and were gradually got rid of. The person who, because he was an old boy on my school, Mason Grammar School, so we took umbrage at the fact that one of our old boys was closing something that was quite important to us. The group of us got together at school and promoted the Kent and East Sussex Railway to buy the line from these railways and run it as an independent heritage railway. Soon after the first meeting, of course, the grown-ups took over, because you can imagine that a bunch of schoolboys turning up at the British. So the Kent and East Sussex Railway Preservation Society was able to buy the land of between Tenterden and Bodiam. It was not allowed to go any further than Bodiam, and in fact it had great difficulty raising sufficient funds to buy the first section. But over the years, from 1961, it gradually rebuilt the line to Wolverhampton, Wittersham Road, North, and then finally in year 2000, the Rother Valley Railway project appeared a possibility. And the reason for it is much the same reason that the original railway was built, that it would connect the Weald to London and Hastings. In modern times, of course, it's tourism that drives the economy. Agriculture no longer relies on railways in the main for getting to its markets. We are enormously encouraged in our endeavour by the support we've got from the local authorities, Rother District, who put us into the district plan, Ashford Borough Council, that Heritage Railway brought money into the local area. So we set to and started buying back pieces of land as it became available. And in 2011, we were able to run the first train from Bodiam westwards up to Junction Road, which was the extent of the land that we managed to purchase at that point. I mentioned the value of heritage railways. This has, of course, been recognised at the national level by the All-Elementary Group on Heritage Railways, which notes that not only is it the spending that the railway brings, but also there's a multiplier because people come into the area and spend time on other attractions. And the Steer Group were one of the major economic impact studies people, and they did a study into it to confirm what we intuitively thought was a good idea. And this forms part of our presentation for the public inquiry. Continuing with the reconstruction efforts, we rebuilt the line at the western end from Robertsbridge down to Junction Road. And to celebrate this, we had a gala in 2013. And this is a lovely shot that we have the vintage Victorian train arriving into the station just as the modern electric train departs towards London. Unfortunately, because of course we don't have a rail link between the two, the train had to come up by road from Tenterden. How are we doing this? Well, I mentioned the support we got from the local authority. We're lucky in the fact that the funding is by philanthropic donors who see the project as being something of benefit to the local population. So we're not reliant on public money. The work is done by volunteer professionals. As you know, I'm a chartered civil engineer. Liveryman, Graham Besant and Dave Cooper are also providing their services as volunteers. Because we're a registered charity, we get donations of materials and equipment from people. Network Rail, London Underground give us things that no longer economic to them, but obviously wouldn't be able to give to a commercial company. And we project manage the work ourselves using small local companies. We find this works very well because we're keeping money in the area, which is appreciated. And because they're small, they're prepared to put themselves out first. And then the track laying is all done by volunteers who mainly come from the Kent and East Sussex Railway, but when they're working on our track, of course, they're a part of their supporters association for insurance purposes. In 2015, we came to a joint venture with Network Rail to reinstate the connection between our track and the Network Rail track. The joint venture was that we would provide the design and the new point and install it, and Network Rail would relay the siding and erect the fence. We were able to convince them of our ability because they'd taken a keen interest in what they're doing and were impressed by the quality of workmanship. In this slide here, you can see that all the people in blue hats are in fact only on the track because they have temporary visitor permit under the Network Rail provisions. The three people with white hats on, however, are fully qualified Network Rail professionals who are working on our line as part of their training exercise. We also have, as well as the normal Kent and East Sussex Railway volunteers, we also had people from London Underground head office and from Network Rail offices who wouldn't normally be allowed on the track because while they work for Network Rail, they're not qualified to work on the track. So this is a good opportunity to get some professional development in for them. Having built the connection, we invited Peter Henry to come down and formally open the reconnection. 3 locomotives, which I thought was a bit excessive, one of which had his name on, and I'm looking forward to the time when I shall be able to have a locomotive with my name on it. Anyway, this is him driving the Network Rail locomotive over the line into our site. The gates across the site have a double padlock on it, and so they can only be opened by both Rother Valley Rail Network Rail unlocking it. And this is the sign inside the station, the Robertsbridge Junction station, which has been designed as a modern station, but with a heritage style, capable of taking a 5-coach train. The Kent and East Sussex Railway chairman at the time, Jamie Douglas, worked for Balfour Beatty, and so he asked his boss if he could borrow the Tampa, and his boss very kindly said, yes, sure, as long as you pay for the insurance and the fuel. So Jamie drove the train all the way from Ashford to a new connection onto our site and was able to fettle the track for us. We like to keep in touch with the local population. We are part of the village, and so we invite the local primary school along for a visit once he questions. Because we like to keep the standards up, we obviously make a point of entering any competitions that are around, and in 2017 we won the South East Region Institute of Civil Engineers Excellence Award, and it was very kindly presented by fellow liveryman Jean Venables. This is the new toilet block on the station under construction, and I've laid it out to a very high standard on the basis that people when they come to visit, of high standard, and if they are, then they'll come back again. If you present them with a dodgy toilet, they afraid just vote with their feet. The new line you can see here in purple, the bits in red are the bits that we've already built, as you saw on the earlier slides, and run trains over them. In the middle, there was 3 farmers who we get to persuade to buy the land, and then in 2017 we managed to buy one section at the eastern end, which leaves us with 2 farmers in the middle. In order to complete the line, there will be 3 level crossings, 2 across county roads, and the 3rd across. These will be modern, fully automatic level crossings, very similar in design to this one, which is on the Isle of Man, but we use as an example because it shows how quickly the road can be reopened after the train has passed. Unfortunately, I can't show you the video because my connection's not stable enough for that. But it's 50 seconds to when the train goes across and the barriers come up. And we've modelled our crossings on 70 seconds, which gives a little bit of margin of error. So it's not like the network rail crossings adjacent to stations, which seem to be shut for ages. This will be remarkably quick. Moving on, this is the section of line that we're working on at the moment. We did an ecological survey and found inevitable badgers, dormice, bats and birds. But we have a very good ecological team, and working closely with Natural England, came up with a scheme to build a new badger set and encourage them to leave their existing set under the track. It also involved a lot of new habitat planting so that the dormice have somewhere else to go and live. Challenges in the future are rebuilding the time-expired railway bridges and reinstating the embankment where they have been removed. So in summary, we're lucky that we have the finance in order to undertake the construction. We've established that there are public benefits, which fits in well with being a charity and has been approved, and we now have a public inquiry into our application for Transport Works Act, which will give us the statutory protections to run a railway and also enable us to have compulsory purchase powers should we still not be able to persuade the remaining 2 landowners to sell their land back to the railway. I hope you've enjoyed the talk and look forward to answering your questions.